All right, techies, welcome. So today, we're going to go way beyond the basics of Kubernetes. I'm not talking about pods and deployments. You already know that stuff. We are diving deep into some of the powerful, kind of lesser-known features that will seriously level up your skills.
So I bet you think you've got a pretty good handle on Kubernetes, right? You're deploying apps, you know your way around services. Heck, maybe you've even written a CRD or two. And that's awesome. It really is. But what if I told you that's just the beginning? There's this whole other world of super powerful features just waiting for you right below the surface.
The best way to think about it is like an iceberg. The stuff we all use every single day. Pods, services, deployments. That's just the tip, right? The part you can see. But the real power, the stuff that solves those really thorny, complex problems, well, that's all hidden down in the depths. So today, let's grab our scuba gear because we're going exploring for some of those hidden gems.
All right, let's get right into it. First up, we're going to look at a set of features that give you some frankly incredible control over your cluster's behavior. Everything from scheduling to networking. Okay, first on the list, pod topology spread constraints. So you know how the Kubernetes scheduler just kind of tries to find any open node for your pod? Well, this feature lets you get way more specific. You can tell it exactly how you want your pod spread out, whether it's across different zones or specific nodes. So instead of just crossing your fingers and hoping for the best, you're the one defining the rules for high availability. It's awesome. And this right here? This is how you solve those really common, really painful scaling problems. You can use it to flat out guarantee high availability by making sure your pods are spread across different failure domains. Or, hey, you could even optimize your costs by packing them into specific zones. The whole point is to make sure that one single node or one zone failure doesn't completely wipe out your application. Super, super important. Next up, let's talk networking for a sec. Have you ever heard of internal traffic policy local? It's just this one little setting on a Kubernetes service, but oh my gosh, the impact on performance can be huge. It basically tells the cluster, hey, look, if you can, please send this traffic to a pod that's on the same node that the request came from.
So, why is this so crucial? Well, the bottom line is, this one setting makes your services faster and easier to observe. I mean, think about it. You're avoiding that extra network hop between nodes, which slashes your latency. And here's the kicker. As a bonus, it preserves the original client's source IP. And if you've ever dealt with logging or security policies, you know that's an absolute game changer.
Okay, let's shift gears to storage. We all know how to spin up an empty persistent volume, right? That's day one stuff. But what about when you need a new volume that's already filled with data? Like, say you're restoring from a database snapshot or a backup. Well, that's exactly where volume populators come into play. What this does is it creates this incredibly powerful workflow for your stateful data. All you do is specify a data source in your PVC manifest, and some custom controller magically handles all the logic of filling up that volume behind the scenes. So by the time your pod starts up, boom, the data is just there. It's an absolute game changer for things like disaster recovery, or for spinning up a realistic test environment from a production snapshot in like seconds. All right, last one for this section, let's talk security and governance. Back in the day, if you wanted to enforce some custom rule, like, I don't know, every deployment must have a team label, you had to build, deploy, and maintain this whole complex validating admission webhook. What a pain. Well, not anymore.
This is how you put guardrails on your cluster, but natively. With something called Validating Admission Policy, you can write your rules directly into a Kubernetes object using the Common Expression Language, or CEL. It's this simple, really expressive language built for policies. The result? It's faster, it's more secure, and it is infinitely simpler than wrestling with external webhooks.
Okay, now for the fun part. Let's look at some actual commands and API tricks you can start using like today to make your life easier and your automation way smarter. This is the stuff that separates the pros from the beginners, the real power users toolkit. Okay, let's start with one that seems so simple, but I promised it will change your debugging life forever. We all run kubectl get events, right? But the output is a total mess. It's not even in order. Well, this command fixes that. Honestly, this is the command everyone should be using, period. It lets you see what's actually happening in the order it happened. I'm serious. Just stop scrolling through that jumbled mess of events, trying to play detective and piece together a timeline. This one little flag, that's it, sort by last timestamp, gives you a clean, chronological story of what's going on. It is a massive, and I mean massive, quality of life improvement when you're pulling your hair out trying to figure out why a pod won't start. Here's another one for your toolkit. This combo of flags is a total secret weapon.
especially for anyone doing CI/CD or automation. What it does is it tells the Kubernetes API server, hey, I want you to figure out all the changes for this apply, but don't actually do it. Just tell me what you would do.
So why on earth does this matter? Because it gives you a true preview, calculated by the server itself, of what's about to happen on the cluster. This is how you prevent catastrophic misconfigurations. It helps you see how your changes might clash with something another controller is doing, and you can resolve those conflicts before they become a real headache.
Okay, so if all this stuff is so powerful, you're probably thinking, why have I never heard of it, right? Why aren't these features in every Kubernetes 101 tutorial?
Well, it's actually a mix of things. A lot of us are running on slightly older K8s versions, so we just haven't caught up yet. Sometimes the big cloud providers hide all this complexity behind their own slick UIs and abstractions. And honestly, some of these features take years to go from alpha to beta to GA, so they just don't get the big announcement and all the spotlight right away. So look, the main thing to remember here is it's not you. The Kubernetes ecosystem is just huge, and it moves at a crazy pace. So not knowing this stuff is totally normal. Nobody knows everything on day one. Real mastery is all about staying curious and just being open to that process of continuous discovery.
Believe it or not, we've really only just scratched the surface of that iceberg today. Learning about these hidden features, it's not just for trivia night. This is about unlocking a whole new level in your ability to build really robust, efficient, and secure systems on Kubernetes.
So I guess the real question is, what are you going to do with this? Are you going to go and start optimizing your network traffic with internal traffic policy? Or maybe go streamline your CI/CD pipelines with those server-side dry runs? The power is right there, just waiting for you. So which hidden gem are you going to uncover first?